Hello and welcome to Geektopia with me, Adam Carruthers. Yeah, it's a space on the internet where I can talk about anything geek related. TV shows, video games, movies, and more. Firstly, I have to apologize for the state of my hair. There are no barbers open currently, so I cannot cut it. But please, bear with me, because I have a review of Black Widow. Yes, finally, July 2nd, 2019. That was the last time that we got to enjoy a Marvel movie. It was Spider-Man Far From Home. 2020 had zero content from the MCU. 2021 has already had a few TV shows. WandaVision, Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and most recently, Loki. And now we finally have our first movie as well. Was it worth the wait? Meh. Elephant in the room. Firstly, why has it taken this long for Black Widow to get her own movie? It is long overdue, and you know what, honestly, it kind of creates a problem for this movie as well. Yes, it's nice to have Scarlett Johansson back in her most famous role, and it is her most famous role despite her large body of work, because when you're an Avenger, you're recognized by kids and adults around the entire world. The problem is, she already died in Avengers Endgame, and she didn't just die. She heroically sacrificed herself. She had the perfect story arc, perfect character development, and now we're revisiting her. If the movie had come out in May 2020 like it was supposed to, maybe this movie could have had better impact, but it's 2 years already. It just feels like a little bit too late. Now, of course, the year-long delay is not the fault of Marvel or anybody. It's because of the pandemic.
Fuck you, COVID!
But I just felt Black Widow should have had a movie before she died in Endgame. Then it could have had even greater meaning. Now it just feels, as you're watching the movie, we know what's around the corner. Thanos appearing, snapping, happening, half the world disappears, she sacrifices herself. This movie didn't feel like it was serving Black Widow, more than it was serving Marvel to set up the future of their movies. How was it as a film? Well, I enjoyed the first half. It felt like a real, proper spy thriller. Don't know why I had to do it in that voice, but it reminded me of La Femme Nikita, the movie from 1990, The Bourne Identity and all the subsequent movies from that. Even some of the more serious James Bond movies like Sean Connery or Daniel Craig had that sort of vibe, and I was digging it. I saw some fans saying that the first half was a bit boring, slow burner, but that's right up my alley. I did not mind it one bit, and it was refreshing because how many spy movies have Marvel actually delivered? None, except Black Widow. And I was thinking, alright, they've really approached this movie differently. However, things then went full Marvel in the second half. Now, what do I mean by full Marvel? Well, the usual big explosions, bing, bang, boom, whatever. I've seen it before in every single Marvel movie. They really could have gone different here. Really, they could have kept it more grounded, but they didn't. I mean, if any character out there from the Avengers is going to be grounded, it would be Black Widow or Hawkeye, maybe to an extent Captain America. Why? Because they don't have superpowers. You don't need to have Black Widow calling in lightning from her hammer or anything like that, because she's just a human. A good example for this would be the Bourne series of movies. All the action there is real. Same with Mission Impossible. Now, I love the Mission Impossible series of films because the action is really for real. Like Tom Cruise does fly a helicopter. The Halo jump scene in the last Mission Impossible movie, Tom Cruise did that jump 106 times to capture what they needed for the film. Let me repeat that, 106 times. No need for green screen. They kept things so grounded, and that's why that Mission Impossible movie looks stunning, because the action is for real. Marvel had the perfect excuse to do the same with Black Widow. Instead of having the big empire up in the sky, the Red Room, yawn. It just felt the typical tropes that we've seen. They're even borrowing the storylines from previous Marvel movies. Winter Soldier. Winter Soldier is Taskmaster, brainwash, killing machine, out of their control, the usual stuff, right? On top of that, they went with the CGI big finale, but the CGI kind of looked a bit lousy to me. Maybe it was the TV I watched it on, I don't know, but I think they've done better jobs in other movies. It just felt too green screeny-y, if that's a word. I know I made it up, but so you get the gist of it. As for the storyline, like I kind of mentioned earlier, started off strong, but then just became a typical Marvel film. Scarlett Johansson, though, was good as per usual. We've certainly seen how much more human she is now as compared to her first appearance in the MCU, but we kind of already saw that development already in Endgame, where she heroically sacrificed herself. The message was already there. This movie came too late. I know I said it earlier, but I have to say it again just because I think it's that important. Oh, I also have to applaud Scarlett Johansson for addressing one thing which we saw from the earlier appearances of Black Widow, which was that perhaps the character was a bit too sexualized. I mean, I can understand why spies would use the sexual element to try and win a mission, but I don't think Black Widow needs it because she is smart, she is a kick-ass assassin, she is awesome. So well done, Scarlett Johansson. Now I want to give a special mention to David Harbour because I love this man. I absolutely adore anything that David Harbour is in. You might recognize him from Stranger Things. But what I found interesting was he's in a Russian prison in this movie. Now, in Stranger Things, as we've seen from like the little teaser trailer for the next season, he's also in a Russian prison. So David Harbour had to come out and say, look, I'm trying to separate those two characters as much as possible, Hopper and the Red Guardian. So if you rewatch the little teaser we've had for Stranger Things, the first one, we saw Hopper has really short hair, pretty much shaved, whereas the Red Guardian has long hair. Hopper is much slimmer, more trim, the Red Guardian isn't. But honestly, David Harbour, doesn't matter. You can look however you want. In both franchises, you are still awesome in my books. As for the other actors and actresses in the movies, thought Raquel Weisz did an okay job. Nice to have William Hurt back as General Thunderbolt Thaddeus Ross. He's been in this franchise, the Marvel Cinematic Universe, since The Incredible Hulk back in, 2008? That guy is an OG, just like Nick Fury was as well. But what about the bad guys? Well, Ray Winston, as always, did a phenomenal job. He has this intensity whenever he acts. But General Dreykov, the character, typical Marvel villain. That's one area which Marvel has always lacked. They never sell their villains enough. They're always undersold. They're so one-dimensional. Now, I'm not expecting every villain in the MCU to be like Thanos, but I'm still expecting more. General Dreykov just felt cliched and stereotypical. There's nothing new. Even Taskmaster, like I mentioned, was borrowed heavily, and I mean heavily, from the Winter Soldier. Brainwashed, yet still a kick-ass killing machine. I mean, more, please. Give us more in the future from the villains. You've shown you can do it with Thanos. I'm sure you can do it with other villains in the future. What about Taskmaster? Well, I've already spoken quite a bit about Taskmaster, but there's outrage amongst some fans, not all. This is because of gender swapping. Oh yeah, if you didn't know, in the comics, Taskmaster is a guy. Like Ghost in Ant-Man and the Wasp was also a guy, but in the movies is a girl. Now I can kind of understand this as well, because if you've grown up admiring and looking forward to reading more of Taskmaster, if it's one of your favorite characters, must have been over the moon to see Taskmaster on the big screen. I mean, Taskmaster has always looked pretty cool in the comics, and the trailers, Taskmaster looked awesome as well, and during the course of the movie. But suddenly to be gender swapped, we're like, whoa, this is not what I've read. I can understand that. It's like when I first saw Superman, Christopher Reeve on the big screen, or Batman, Michael Keaton, Adam West, can't remember which one, Spider-Man, Tobey Maguire. If it was completely different from the comics, maybe I would have been upset as well. I mean, I'm a bit indifferent to it because I can see how this movie is very much a feminist movie. I mean, General Dreykov is the patriarchy, isn't he? He's oppressing women. He's the bad guy. Most of the men in this movie are either stupid, like the Red Guardian, but also funny, or just straight up bad, like General Dreykov. I know there's other male characters in it, but those are the ones that appear the most. Yeah, it kind of fits it, and I mean, it's Marvel and Disney's intellectual property. They can kind of do what they want, but I do understand the outrage in that sense as well. Would love to know your thoughts about it, by the way, so make sure you leave a comment about the gender swapping in the movie. So what did I think of the movie overall? Well, I believe they were trying to serve two purposes. Firstly, a farewell to Scarlett Johansson's Black Widow. Did they serve that purpose? Well, not really. Because like I mentioned earlier on, she already had the perfect heroic send-off in Avengers Endgame. She really did, which is why this movie came too late. I know I keep repeating myself on that, but it is important to stress. The second purpose was to set up elements for the future of the MCU, to deliver on that. I think they did deliver. Florence Pugh, who I haven't mentioned yet, I think, but I wanted to save the best for last, did an outstanding job in the movie. She was funny when she needed to be, she was great and physical in the action sequences, and she looks, although it's still early days and huge shoes to fill, looks to be worthy of being the next Black Widow. Now, having Countess Valentina appearing at the end also sets up future elements. Showing Hawkeye's picture saying this person is responsible for your sister's death helps to set up Hawkeye's TV show and Florence Pugh's role in that. And of course, we saw the other widows, the Red Guardian, and who knows what role they're going to have in the future. We haven't seen much since, because remember, this movie is set in what, 2016, 2017? So we didn't hear about them in Infinity War or Endgame, so maybe they'll have a role to play even further down the line. Yeah, I think that's about it, really. What do you think about it? Make sure you leave a comment down below, like, share, and subscribe. My name is Adam Carruthers, signing out from Geektopia.